Hey, everybody. Welcome in to a special Purple Daily Happy Hour edition here with Mackey, Judd, and Declan, a Vikings schedule release party on the internet. And I don't know what you guys are drinking, but I went straight to the brown for this schedule release, baby. Straight to the slow and low on camera. Declan's a claw man.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Ready to rock.
No, you know what? I'm sticking with what brung me here. Dogfish Head, 60-minute IPA.
Beautiful.
I'm not going away from what I brought to the dance. It's that simple.
Beautiful. So, as you
Yes,
can
sir.
see, if you are watching this live stream on Score North Twitter, Facebook, or Twitch, or if you're watching the YouTube video, we are looking at the Viking schedule for the first time. And on this episode, gentlemen, we're not going to do like a deep dive into the schedule itself and some of the interesting things. We're just going to go straight through and pick wins and losses. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Oh yeah, baby. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's go.
All right. Let's start out right out of the gate here. A home game at probably empty US Bank Stadium on September 13th. Looks like it's a noon game according to the small print against the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Judd Zulgad.
I am going, despite the fact that this is a huge advantage for the Packers playing in front of an empty stadium, I'm going to win for the Vikings in this game as the dissension in Green Bay starts to overtake and eat the Packers. Vikings win.
Yeah, I'm going Vikings win too. Green Bay only has a one win here at US Bank Stadium, even though the crowd won't be there. Mike Zimmer typically holds Aaron Rodgers in check, and he did that the last time they actually won at US Bank this last season too. So I think the Vikings win. It'll be close, but 1-0 to start the season.
I've got a Vikings win here as well after Jordan Love beats out Aaron Rodgers in training camp. Mike Zimmer feasts on the rookie quarterback in the first game of the season.
Jordan
All
Love
right.
gets hurt. Jordan Love gets hurt. Rodgers comes off the bench
Wow.
and then leads the Packers to a Super Bowl championship before being traded.
Wow. Wouldn't that be
That's how it
amazing?
goes. That's how it
All right,
goes.
week 2 on the road for the Vikings against my guy Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis. I got the Vikings starting 2-0. Not gonna lie,
Even against your boy Phillip Rivers, huh?
my boy Phillip Rivers, I think slings it around the lot, but probably throws a couple not his. I think it's like 3 or 4 picks, not his fault. Not
Okay.
his fault.
He is no longer that good, but that Colts team is pretty decent. I don't like the team that we're going to talk about next on the Viking schedule, so I'm actually going loss here because I have a hard time getting my head around a 3-0 start. So I'm going to say that the Colts at home prevail in this game, and the Vikings come out of it week 2, 1-1. Another, by the way, noon kickoff.
Yeah, I have the Vikings winning this one. I'm with Phil in the sense that I'm a big Phillip
Phillip
Rivers
Mackey,
guy.
might as well call him Phillip Mackey.
It's Phillip for the purposes
Phillip.
of this
All right.
week 2 breakdown.
All
Yes.
right, Phillip, my lord and my liege. I think I like the Colts a lot. They have a good team. Phillip Rivers, though, is past his prime. I'd be shocked if the Vikings were not able to pull off a win. They go 2-0.
All right.
I'm going to Indian win. Woo, boy. Okay.
By the way, that might actually be their easiest road game on the schedule, depending on what you think about at Detroit. I mean, their road schedule is brutal, and we'll get to more of it here. But week 3, home against the pesky Tennessee Titans, another noon game here, a bunch of noon games out of the gate. So you got. I think you have to do well at home this season if you want to put up 10 or 11 wins because your road schedule is so brutal. But you're not going to win all your home games. So I have this as a loss. I think it's a feist. It's a Titans team that's going to come down a rung from last year, but it's also a feisty Titans team. I will chalk that up as a loss for the Vikings.
I think this is the point where the Titans are going to be exposed, and by week 3, I expect that the Titans might get off to a disappointing start. Vikings playing the Titans at home again. There very well could be no fans there, but I still like the Vikings against the Titans on their home turf. So I say the Vikings go to 2-1 and win this game.
Look,
Next.
everyone's all in on this whole Ryan Tannehill resurgence thing. He throws 12 passes a game. I don't buy it for a second. I don't care that he was completing 9 yards an attempt. The Titans are coming down to earth, and the Vikings move to 3-0. No problem, 3-0. That's a cakewalk.
Boy, you get a couple claws in Declan, and he doesn't see a loss on the schedule for the
Right.
Vikings.
16-0. Watch
And-
out, Miami. 72 Dolphins in big trouble.
All right, week 4 here, back on the road for the Vikings at Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson. I'm going to say they bounce back after a tough home loss, and they win a tough road game here to move to 3-1.
Deshaun Watson is so damn good. The Vikings' young secondary and young defense or at points, young defense, still going to be getting its footing. If this was at US Bank Stadium, I think I would go Vikings. But because it is the first of back-to-back road games, I am going to go Texans in this one. Vikings are 2-2 after this.
Yeah, even though I'm all in on the Claws right now and the Vikings wanting to go 16-0 and dethrone the Patriots and possibly the Dolphins, I think Deshaun Watson is so good, and Bill O'Brien is a buffoon, but this is the first loss on the Vikings schedule. They go to 3-1.
All right, the next game on the list here at Seattle, and there is a rule in the NFL's phone book sized rule book. The Vikings do not win primetime games in Seattle. This is a Sunday night game, it appears. They do get the extra 6.5 hours to prep for this game, which is nice. Nice little long week with the Sunday night game. I'm going to say it's a loss at Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll's house.
So I think the Vikings are getting screwed by the week 1 game against the Packers in the sense that we're not going to have fans at US Bank Stadium, right? But what's part of the problem with going and playing the Seahawks in Seattle? It's the fans. October 11th, my guess, still no fans. A quieter stadium? Yeah, it's not going to hurt them. I think the Vikings finally snap the primetime issues that they've had against the Seahawks.
Wow.
3-2 after this game. The Vikings, before a very quiet, non-existent crowd in Seattle, win this game.
So Seattle's a tough place to play. I'm with Judd. It's not as hostile as it is in December. And even though I'm a big fan of first name Russell, last name Wilson, that defense is not very good. And I think the Vikings surprise you. And Kirk Cousins gets a rare primetime win. And all of a sudden, Minnesota is 4-1 coming home before the bye week.
By the way, we're going to have to stop calling them rare primetime wins pretty soon because he had a couple of them last year. And if he gets another one in the first month and a half of the schedule, maybe the narrative gets put to bed.
Cheers, right. Jason Garrett.
Pour one out. All right, the last game before a Week 7 bye here, a Week 6 home matchup against Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Falcons are still sneaky good, although a borderline playoff team at best. I think they're feisty. I think they're more like 8-8 this season. I'm going to say the Vikings beat the Falcons at home, probably still inside of an empty US Bank Stadium in the middle of October.
It's my humble opinion that the Atlanta Falcons should have made a coaching change during last season and then certainly after it, and they didn't. So if you get the Falcons at home in what I consider to be a descending Matt Ryan, I'm with you, Phil. I think the Vikings win this game, and I have them now at 4-2 as they enter their bye week. This is a home win.
I like Matt Ryan an awful lot. Not as much as our Friday night producer, Andrew Schulister, who is just all in on Matt Ryan. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it or if that was in his resume when he got hired here, Phil, but he's a big Matt Ryan guy.
He led with it. He definitely led with it in the interview, yeah.
I like Matt Ryan a ton. And in fact, this was the week 1 opener, obviously, of 2019, and I picked the Vikings to lose. I thought the Falcons were going to surprise and get a rare win at US Bank Stadium. And then Matt Ryan was held in check all game. And unless the Falcons really come out of the gate hot, I think as of right now, I got to give the Vikings a win. So the Vikings are 5-1 for me heading into the bye.
Oh, Sam, Coach of the Year.
Declan, Coach of the Year. I mean, that's what I'm
amazing
right now.
So going into the bye here, I've got him 4-2. Judd's got him 4-2, and Dex, you've got him 5-1.
That's right.
And then the schedule gets really interesting after the bye, starting with a noon matchup at Green Bay. In fact, according to this schedule, both Green Bay games are noon games. So we don't get a primetime Vikings-Packers game. When's the last time that happened?
A long time. And do I see this right? In the totality of the whole schedule, do I only see 2 primetime games?
Yes. And let's pause that and do a deep dive once we get done picking the schedule. There's a few interesting patterns on this schedule here. But out of a bye week, so an extra week to prepare, I've got the Vikings beating the Packers again to go to 5-2 on the season.
You know what? I'm going to predict, as I ordinarily do with these two teams, a split. I think the Vikings go to Green Bay out of the bye and lose, and so I've got them at 4-3 at that point. I cannot give the Vikings a sweep against the Packers. I just can't bring myself to be that optimistic.
Even though the claws are flowing through my liver and my brain right now, and they're definitely impairing my judgment a little bit, I'm with Judd. It's way too hard to go into Lambeau, and already if you're going to beat them at home, it's a tough place to play. A pissed off Aaron Rodgers, our friend Rami Makloff said, is a scary sight. And I just think that historically the Vikings haven't played very well at Lambeau Field. So I think the Green Bay Packers do get a win at home.
Jordan Love 3 touchdown passes in this game because by this point he is the starter.
Yeah, but one of them to Aaron Rodgers on a trick play formation. Home against the Lions. Home against the Lions. Another noon game here. Sorry, like I know that the Vikings probably aren't going to beat the Lions every game the rest of my life, but I never pick against the Vikings when playing the Lions. So maybe it's my downfall, but they will beat the Lions in this game.
In fact, I'm going to go on the record on a Wednesday, write that down here in the future, that by one of the two games, and they don't play them until the end of the season, then at Detroit, Matt Patricia will have been fired by the time these two teams meet again. And right now, it might be by this game. This will be a win. The Lions are the Lions. They're dysfunctional. As much as I can't pick the Vikings to go into Green Bay and win that game and sweep the Packers, I also cannot pick the Vikings to lose to the Lions at home, although we've seen that happen. I'm going Vikings in this game, 5-3 for me after this game.
I'm a big Matt Stafford guy. I like him a lot. I think Matt Patricia is not a very good head coach. I'm curious to see if their cornerback, I know that they drafted 3rd overall, can step in and make a big difference for them. Because if the Lions have had a defense, they can actually probably be a pretty good team, but historically they haven't. And it's the Lions at home. I'm with Phil. I don't think I need any more explanation. The Vikings win that one.
All right. Let's go into Chicago for the next game here. This appears to be a Monday night game at Soldier Field. Vikings and Bears Monday night. You know, Nick Foles doesn't scare me. Mitch Trubisky doesn't scare me, but something about primetime at Chicago, there's a lot of forces against the Vikings in this one, so this is a loss for the Vikings.
The Vikings are going to go into this game at 5-3 and a little bit cocky because the next 3 games are going to be at home. Don't fall asleep against the Bears at Soldier Field. It's a very bad idea if you're the Vikings, but they have before. I'm going to go with Phil on this one. I don't see this going well for the Vikings. I think they lose this game. And in fact, I think Cousins throws a couple picks.
Well, I didn't know I was working with 2 Debbie Downers tonight, but I have the Vikings actually going into Soldier Field and getting a rare win. And I think they've only had like maybe 1 or 2 wins in my entire lifetime at Soldier Field since I was born in '92. But if it's Mitch Trubisky, if it's Nick Foles not in an Eagles uniform, it should be a win. I mean, I know Chase Daniel, for God's sakes, got the best of them last season. That's not going to happen again. Zimmer's not going to let a Chase Daniel or a Nick Foles or a Mitch Trubisky best him. The Vikings get a very rare slugfest win in Chicago.
All right, coming back home here for the first of 3 consecutive home games. This one on a short week. It looks like it's the Fox National Spotlight game in the middle of the afternoon at 3:25 against the Dallas Cowboys. I am very bullish on the Dallas Cowboys to win a bunch of games this year. I think Mike McCarthy is a better head coach than Jason Garrett, and I think he connects better with that offense and with Dak Prescott. I think the Vikings lose this home game against the Cowboys.
This is a knockdown, drag-out, big boy affair. It's going to be a fantastic game. I can feel it right now, right in my bones. It might not have fans there, but I don't care at this point. And the Vikings come out in this game, and it's incredibly close, but they do lose Dak Prescott, who I think is going to have a huge year. And the Cowboys beat the Vikings to get some revenge for last season. A bit of a surprise because the Vikings should go into this game probably favored by about a field goal or something, but the Vikings lose. I'm with Phil. They are now 5-5, and Azolgad column soon after we'll call from Mike.
Hungover Declan would love a 3:30 start on a Sunday covering a football game. Let me tell you, going into US Bank Stadium with a little bit of a headache and some poor decisions is a rough place to be. So I would love a 3:30 kickoff. I'm all for that. But Dak Prescott's awesome. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks and take even a next step that he's been able to do the last few years. He's going to enter MVP category if things go right in Dallas. Yeah, I think this is the one home game that the Vikings probably drop. The Cowboys get a win.
All right, second home game in a stretch of 3, the return of Teddy Bridgewater to US Bank Stadium, and I think Teddy will hold his own, but I don't think it'll be good enough. Game manager Teddy loses to Mike Zimmer's defense. And by the way, if anybody knows Teddy Bridgewater's kryptonite, it's Mike Zimmer, right? Mike Zimmer loves himself some Teddy. I think the Vikings beat the Panthers.
Back-to-back defeats at the Bears, and then against the Cowboys, we'll have the Vikings ornery in a very bad mood. The Carolina Panthers, I've got questions about them. I mean, Teddy's a great story, but I don't think this team is going to be that good. So, yes, a home game against the Panthers is a definite win. The Vikings get above 500 by beating Teddy Bridgewater. Declan, I'm sorry about that. and the Carolina Panthers, 6-5 in my world.
I'm split here, guys. I'm gonna have to go grab another claw and a bag of tissues here to wipe up the tears that I'm trying to console right now. I love Teddy a ton.
Got a double fist, baby.
Yeah, that's the next move. Well, you know what? I got the whiskey here, but I need something to drink it with. I have yet to enter that period of my life, unlike Phil over there. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. I like what Teddy's going to be able to do. He's finally going to get a chance to prove a lot of people wrong. I know Carolina, though, is not the best team. So I think the Vikings should be able to take care of business. But if Teddy goes in, throws a couple touchdowns, silence some haters, I'll be okay with that. But I think the Vikings get a win against the Panthers.
All right. And then home against the Jaguars. Can we just speed past this? Win, win, win?
No, yeah, win.
Okay.
Win.
All right. No evaluation
What
necessary.
was the famous Winston thing, Phil? Eat the W's?
Eat the W's.
That's what the Vikings are going to do. They're going to eat the W's.
Eat those W's. All right. Now the schedule gets fun. All right. At Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a noon game on the road. Boy, you got to think one of two things could be the case here with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and Bruce Arians. On one hand, they could be clicking by this point, and their offense could be, I mean, think about the Patriots and how well they usually played in November and December, right? Everything came together. On the flip side, you're also talking about a 43-year-old man who has a lot of reps on his shoulder. Could he have a Brad Radke frayed labrum by the time this game rolls around? I'm actually going to lean toward the Buccaneers and Tom Brady having it all put together and the Vikings losing this game.
I am going to hold up something that I don't know if you can read, but it's a headline from a paper, story in a paper that's going to be written after this game, which is Bench Brady, Tom Not So Terrific.
Here, hold it up again.
Here you go.
There we go. I just want to make sure that gets on.
Tom Not So Terrific. He's going to throw 3 picks in this game, one of which will be returned for a touchdown. The Vikings will win this game.
Wow, look at you, Mr.
I
Positive.
have a weird feel, but I mean, Brady might not be great, and Zim is ultimately going to be as challenged as Zim can be in this game. So I like where this game falls. If I'm the Vikings, I'm giving them a 3rd consecutive victory, 8-5.
Awesome. All right, Declan.
Yeah, I teased a hot take earlier today on Purple Day when we recorded that. I really don't buy this whole Tom Brady thing going into Tampa Bay, and it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. I don't think that'll be the case. I think the Vikings are going to go into Raymond James Stadium and get a win, and it's going to be awesome to see Kirk Cousins trump Tom Brady. I can't believe those words come out of my mouth because I wouldn't have said it 6 or 8 months ago, but I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Tom Brady, and the Vikings get a win in Tampa Bay.
Amazing. All right, home against Chicago, the final home game of the season for the Vikings here in Week 15, and I've got them winning this one. Nick Foles is probably the quarterback by this point unless he's hurt, so Nick Foles not in an Eagles uniform doesn't scare me as much as Nick Foles in an Eagles uniform, so Vikings win this home game.
Yeah, what is this going to make it 5 consecutive years that the Vikings have closed their home schedule against the Bears? No, I think the last 4, it's been the last game of the season. Vikings win this game. I'm not going to be surprised if Matt Nagy is finishing up his Bears coaching career around this time as well. So yeah, I'm with Phil. The Vikings go to 9-5. The only weird thing is I've got them now at 4 consecutive wins, but I think they win this game.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the Vikes get to win it. If they're going to go into Soldier Field and get a win, they're going to have no problem winning at home, whether it's Trubisky, Nick Foles, or Chase Daniel. I don't care who it is. Vikings get a win against the Bears.
Short week here, and I'm going to assume that this is the equivalent of their Thursday night game because they don't have a Thursday night game on their schedule. This is a Christmas Day game, which I believe is a Friday.
Correct.
Right?
Standalone game on a Friday. That's correct.
So this is kind of their Thursday night game substitute, which I guess advantage Vikings that they get the extra day while most teams have to play on a Thursday. They play on a Friday, but it's at New Orleans. Drew Brees in a half season last year was still unbelievable, completed 74% of his passes. I think this is going to be a tough one for the Vikings, and the Saints wind up getting a little bit of revenge here. Saints win that game.
Yeah, in fact, so I've got the Vikings going into this game with a 9-5 record, and playoff-wise, you do have the extra team, which is going to help, but 9-5 is certainly does not solidify your position probably. And I have the Saints exacting their revenge in this game. Vikings are 9-6 after this game. They lose to Drew Brees and the Saints.
You know, I don't hate the Saints as much as a lot of Vikings fans do. I'm not a big Sean Payton guy, and who is really, to be honest. But I'm not as down on the Saints as a lot of people are. I don't look at Bounty Gate as the reason they lost the game. I love that the Vikings were able to go into the playoffs and get a big playoff win at the Superdome this last year. But I think Drew Brees is still really good. That's still a tough place to play. It's a short week. The Vikings lose to the Saints.
And final game of the year. This is it, gentlemen. Final game on the schedule at Detroit in Week 17, a noon game on a Sunday. And if this lines up the way that Judd and I have it, and they are 9-6 going into this one, this game absolutely means something. This game might have division ramifications.
Mike Zimmer's future,
playoff ramifications.
Rick Spielman's future.
Coach on the line. I think they win this game if everyone is still bought into Mike Zimmer, and if the train is still on the tracks. I think they win this game. And if they lose it, in the scenario that Judd and I have, 9-6 going in, heads might roll. But I think they win this game.
So this is a January 3rd game at noon at Ford Field. And my guess is by this game that the Lions are being coached by their best ball boy. So it's not going to be a big problem. This game has a lot on the line, but it's going to become a joke because the Lions are just a joke by now. So the Vikings win. The Vikings might win by 2 touchdowns. So 10-6 for me after this game.
Well,
for the season.
I think I'm having at 11-4 right now going into this game, Phil.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude, you're drinking some Kool-Aid right now.
I'm drinking some
black
cherry.
It's not Kool-Aid, my man.
Kool-Aid right there. I mean, it's kind of like purple. It's pink purple. I'm gonna call it purple. The Vikings will be obviously playing for a bye week at this point, my friends. So they'll go into the half. They'll have Kirk Cousins and the boys in. Then they'll get a comfortable lead. Sean Mannion or whoever the heck it is comes in, rides it out, and confirms that bye week. Vikings get a win, and they go 12-4 in my initial schedule.
Wow.
Release. I will not regret this in 3 months.
Amazing.
Dix, is that just White Claw, or do I see drugs behind you as well?
Oh, wait, no, I purposely face this wall because the other stuff's over there. I do this on purpose. I don't.
The stuff that you were using before that we started?
No.
Oh, shoot, the camera's backwards.
Oh, no, take it off.
Call the feds. All right, so there it is. That's our first official picking of the Viking schedule. One of probably 6 or 7 times we're going to do this before week 1.
So, Phil, we've got them as a playoff team then, correct? Playing first round?
Yes, especially with the extra team. So you and I both have them 10-6. I don't know if 10-6 wins a division. Declan has them 12-4, which wins the division, but probably doesn't get you the first round bye anymore with only one team getting a first round bye.
Yeah, no, it does.